What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mike and Ant. I'm Mob Miz. That's Inspector Ant. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, doing great.
Ready to jump back through the rest of these games?
Yep.
All right, well, let's dive right in. The Bengals, week one, beat the Browns in a hard-fought game, low scoring 17-16. I don't think anybody's seen this coming. Joe Burrow only threw for 113 yards and a touchdown. Nobody pretty much did anything. Chase Brown had a touchdown. On the Browns, Flacco threw for 290 and two interceptions with a touchdown. Sampson didn't rush for much, but he did have a good amount of passing yards. He had 8 catches for 64 yards, Judy 5 for 66, and Harold Fannin Jr., who a lot of people thought the Rams should have took, 7 receptions for 63 yards. He actually looked real good. Tillman got the touchdown with 5 catches. What was your overall thoughts on this game?
Well, my overall thoughts on this game was that we got it wrong. We both said earlier that this was going to be a blowout. And one thing we forgot was that Cleveland last year did have a top 10 defense despite their offensive struggles. And that defense rose to the occasion again today. They played great. You named off all the stats for the Bengals. Offensively, they really couldn't get anything going. But it's a great win for Cincinnati. The biggest knock on them is that they get off the slow starts every year. This year, I mean, it was ugly, but at least they could win their first game. I can't even remember the last time that Cincinnati actually won their first game.
Yeah, you're not lying. You're not lying. That they needed. They're kind of like us in a way as far as the Rams. They just been starting out very slow. But
Well,
they,
Zach
they
Taylor and Sean McVay come from the same coaching tree.
only difference is Sean knows when to step on the gas, and the Bengals
Yeah,
last year just looked like they drove through a wall.
yeah,
But
they waited until November to
yeah,
hit the gas.
think I said it earlier. As a fan, you hate to watch ugly games, but you love to win them because then like you're battle tested in those type of situations.
Yeah,
So to win an ugly game week one is actually a positive. If you lose it, now you're adjusting and fixing things, but you lost. You won and you're adjusting things. It's a win-win. So I mean, everything worked out as far as that part. But um on to the next game. This was my surprising game of the week, even though it might not have surprised many. The Packers blew out the Lions. This wasn't a close game. The game only says they lost by 14 points. They should have lost. It seems like they lost by a lot more, but the score was 27-13. Goff did throw for 225, a touchdown and a pick. I feel like he was on his back every time I looked. Both running backs combined had about 42, 43 yards. That's on 20 carries between Montgomery and Gibbs. Laporta looked like his old self again. That was one good spot, 79 yards on 6 catches. And Gibbs had 10 receptions for 31 yards. Fantasy owners, you got to love it, but Goff today looked like the dump off champion. As far as on the other side, Love threw for only a buck 88 on 22 passes, 16 to 22, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs didn't do much, ran for 66 yards, and their highest receiver was 68 yards on 2 receptions. So it doesn't seem like their offense did anything, yet they walk away with the win clean. Reed and Kraft got the 2 touchdowns, excuse me, 2 touchdown passes from Love. What was you thinking watching this game?
well, Detroit, their defense struggled in the first half. Green Bay had their way with them in the first half. I felt like their defense played better in the second half. Offensively, Detroit's O line was terrible. Goff never had any time. You talked about him being a dump off king. That's because yeah, merchant because he didn't have time to like look down the field and throw. It seems like as soon as he got the ball, there's a Packer in his face, so he had no other choice but to dump it off, whether to be the running back or the tight end. He was just checking down each time. And then Panay Sewell was supposed to be the best right tackle in the game. I mean, Michael Parsons was having his way with him. So that back looked pretty good to me. And I'm pretty sure Cowboys fans are missing him right now because he was the difference to me on that D line. Even though he only had one sack, but he got plenty of pressures on Golf.
Yeah,
and the Lions O line just could not block to save their life. They couldn't pass block, they couldn't run block, they couldn't do anything.
yeah, I agree. Everything was bad for One Pride today. But shout out to the Packers. They looked. I mean, they looked the part that everybody was bigging them up to be. We'll see how it goes into the next game. But they looked good today. Going on
Yeah, and I
to
will say real
what?
quickly, the Lions, I feel like we got to be more patient with them. They do have two new coordinators, so
Yeah,
it might take some time for them to learn the new offense and the new defense.
this is true. We'll see how that goes as well. But they didn't look good today.
No,
Go,
not at all.
going on to a win-win situation. We had the Seahawks and the Niners fighting each other. This is always good. It means someone in the Rams division is taking a loss. Today it was the Seahawks that had their shots. The Niners beat them 17-13. Purdy threw for 277, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. McCaffrey, 22 carries for 69 yards. So much for the injury rumors. We'll see about the injury report. Stock up. Pass off, 4 catches for 108 yards. McCaffrey also had 9 catches, 22 carries, and 9 catches. That's not a Super Bowl recipe. That's a recipe for disaster for somebody that can't stay healthy. I do want to throw that out there. As far as the Seahawks, Donald only threw for a buck 50. Charbonnet had 2 more carries than Walker, 12 to 10, 47 yards to 20. He may have took that starting job, or at least he's sniffing it. He scored the touchdown. Smith and Jigba went nuts. 9 catches for a buck 124. Cup only had 2 catches for 15 yards. That's the gap between the number 1 and number 2 receiver on the day today. What are you thinking about this game?
The Niners defense played well. The offense, Brock Purdy made a great play on that game-winning touchdown, and I think they might have something in Pearsall. That's probably why they got rid of Debo because Pearsall played well. I do agree with you with McCaffrey. 22 carries plus 10 catches is not a recipe for long-term success. And I'm surprised they didn't use Brian Robinson more. Maybe they're still trying to ease him in since he's only been there for maybe about a week and a half. But yeah, the Niners won. It was a great, hard-fought game, divisional game. I thought Sam Darnold played okay. To me, the biggest story in this game, though, is that George Kittle left the game with the hamstring. So that's something to monitor as we move forward. But yeah, the Niners got the win, and Nick Bosa with the game-winning strip sack.
Yep, and Tonjes did get a touchdown, a great touchdown in the back of the end
Yeah,
zone, filling in for
yeah, the
Kittle.
game-winning one.
Yeah, game winning one. It was, I mean, I think it was Woolen. Woolen should have had an interception. That's probably a second one. The game he should have had it. He just
Yeah.
somehow just mistimed it badly. He's a great player. I mean,
Did we talk about Raiders and Pats?
no, I'm jumping into them right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, another one of the ones that I was a little surprised out went. The Raiders beat the Pats 20-13. Gino threw for 362, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Genti 38 yards, pedestrian, 19 carries though. That's good. Bowers 5 catches for a buck 03. Myers 8 for 97. On the Patriots side, Drake May threw 46 times, completing 30 passes for 287, 1 TD, 1 pick. Trey Henderson only had 5 carries for 27 yards. You don't like to see that. Booty, 6 catches for a buck 03. Hunter Henry, 4 for 66. And Stephon Diggs and Henderson both had 6 catches apiece. Diggs with 57 yards, Henderson with 24. The Raiders controlled this game from beginning to end. Did this surprise you a little bit?
A little bit, but I'm not surprised. It didn't really surprise me, but it did surprise me. I think for this game, though, I don't know what Josh McDaniels was thinking with this game calling. It doesn't make sense to throw the ball 46 times and only run it 18. Like you got to have more balance offensively, especially in the one possession game. Like
They,
they're throwing the ball like they were down, 30 the
yeah,
whole game.
they think they have Justin Herbert. You can't throw that
Yeah,
many times. You don't have one of those guys.
yeah, like he was calling the game like it was like Detroit, Green Bay. Like I could understand why they threw the ball so much because they were down, 2 scores the whole game. The
Yeah,
Raiders passed. It wasn't like that. It was a
yeah.
close enough game to where you could have more balance.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Geno slung it 46 times. But shout out to the Raiders. I expect them to actually be a little bit, actually probably a lot better than I thought. Geno looked good. Myers looks like he's happy. Bauer's doing his thing. They could turn it around. I expect Genty to get better, and I don't mean turn it around. They won today. I mean they could turn it around for what we thought they was going to be. And we said there's no way they're the worst team in the NFL. We said that. So it,
And
we
also too, shout out to Chip Kelly. I didn't know until today watching the game
yeah
that Chip Kelly's their OC.
yeah.
And so at first I thought, okay, the Raiders are gonna play like Pete Carroll, play great defense, run the football. But I feel like with Chip Kelly being their OC, he's gonna find a way to open it up in the passing game. And
I,
he did that today.
Yeah, I think that they believe in Geno. They made the trade from them, they paid him. So good for them for putting the faith and belief in him, and he looks like he's going to reward them. On to the next game, the Broncos. They did what they were supposed to do. It wasn't pretty. They won 20-12 over the Titans. Let's pull up the stats here. So Knicks threw 40 times, completed 25 passes for 176, a touchdown, 2 picks. Javi ran 6 carries for 70 yards. One of them was a 50-yard burst. J.K. Dobbins stock up 16 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Sutton had 61 receiving yards and a touchdown. Going over to the Titans, Cam Ward only threw for 112 yards on 28 passes, completing 12. He looked like a rookie. Pollard had 18 carries, 60 yards, and nobody had anything more than 29 yards receiving on the team. So the Titans somehow kept this close. Their defense looks real good. What was your overall thoughts on this game?
The Titans defense is better than what I expected.
Yeah,
Like you said, they played real good. They gave Bo Nix a lot of troubles today. And then for Cam Ward, it's only his first game, so I'm not going to panic too much.
yeah,
He did complete under 50% of his passes, which is not very good.
yeah.
But and he only threw 4 yards per attempt, which is like not. You talk about Jared Goff being the check down merchant. Uh, Cam Ward was even worse than that. Only 4 yards per attempt. I mean 4 yards per completion. So they got to find a way to kind of stretch the field to get the ball downfield and not have him just throw, screen passes the whole game or check downs.
Definitely agree on that. 1 second, let me pull this up. Whoops. And with pull that up. Sorry, bro. We froze. Well, I couldn't hear you for a second. What was the last thing you just said?
Oh no, I said Tennessee they got to find a way to get the ball down the field. Cam Ward only having 4 yards per completion.
Yeah.
That's not good. You got to extend the field. Maybe when Calvin really comes back, but they got to find a way to stretch the field and open up the offense a lot more.
100%. I completely agree with you. In the last game for the up until excuse me for the 4 p.m. games, the Rams defeated the Texans 14-9. I was biting my fingernails off this whole game. Stafford threw for 245 yards and a touchdown. Kyron ran for 66. Puka 10 catches for 130. Adams 4 for 51. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, threw for a buck 88 in an interception. Chubb ran for 60 yards, and nobody had over 32 yards receiving. It was an ugly game. The Rams won. We'll take it. What was your thoughts on this game, bro?
This game was all about defense. Both offenses struggled, and to me, the difference in this game was in the first half. Yeah, Houston was leading most of the first half, but they were just kicking field goals, and they just kept us in the game. Instead of being up 21-0, they're only up 9, and so it just kept us in the game. We finally started converting and scored in touchdowns, and found a way to get the win.
Yeah, you're 100% right. A win is a win, no matter how ugly it is. Minus a two ugly holding penalties, which we deserve. I'm not going to shout out no names, but they may or may not have been players we wanted on the team. They both cost Whittington huge plays that probably would have made this game a lot different. I'll end it with one thing though. I'm happy we won, but this isn't what we paid Tutu and brought him back for. One reception for 4 yards on one target. Get Tutu the ball. But with that being said, we're gonna get up out of here, bro. Stay on them.
All right.